Hi, everyone. We have author Elsie Sun here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. My name is Elsie Sun. I write paranormal romance and fantasy fiction. I've been writing for about 2 years. Um, February 2019 was when Beautiful Nightmare came to be, but I've been writing professionally for over 20 years. So I finally took an opportunity to take the creative side of my writing and put it to good use.
Okay. And tell us about your books.
Okay, sure. My first book is A Beautiful Nightmare. It's a thick one. I tell everybody up front, it's a thick one. It's a paranormal romance about a young lady named Damina Nakad, who, on the eve of her wedding, gets her heart broken, and from there she leaves Washington D.C., where she's from, and goes to New Orleans to try to reconnect with her roots. While she's there, she meets someone who, piques her interest. But while doing that, she soon discovers that she's a little bit more than human and that the world has a whole lot going on, more than she knew, and that her family history is tied to a lot of supernatural beginnings. And so she begins to discover all of this, and she really begins to learn that things aren't what they seem. It's called Beautiful Nightmare because in the book, she has a lot of dream sequences, and in these dreams, they're kind of trying to tell her what's happening, and then she kind of learns about what the meaning of those dreams are, as time goes on. So from there, we have another book that's called Hearts Eclipsed and Awaken. Hearts Eclipsed is written as an alternate point of view from the perspective of her suitors, which would be her fiance, and to talk about why he messed up, and and her newer love interest. His name is Dalcor, and he talks about why he's the great one for her, if you will, and their struggles and what they're dealing with. The second book is Awaken, and Awaken picks up where Beautiful Nightmare left off. And so I like to tell people up front, it is a cliffhanger at the end of Beautiful Nightmare, but if you're ready for a ride, there it is.
Okay. I love the cover.
Thank you.
How did you go about choosing it?
Oh, I looked for cover designers left and right, trying to find the one that spoke to me. And when I found Rhiannon, she was just amazing. And, we talked about the themes of the book, and she really kind of brought out what I was looking for. Having someone, with the motif with the tree in the background, with the wolf there, and all of the symbolism that's in the book.
Yeah.
And she really helped bring that to life. And so she's done all of the covers for Beautiful Nightmare, and I'm really proud of the work that she's done.
Yes, they look so good.
Yeah.
And tell us what inspired you to write these books.
Oh, so many things. I've always been a fan of supernatural stories. I mean, I was a Vampire Diaries fan, and the originals was my favorite. I'm Team Klaus all day, but yeah. So I enjoyed those stories. But younger me really liked things from the Anne Rice Chronicles and looking at the Vampire Lestat. I loved him. I loved his story. I loved all of those things. So I always wanted to write something in the vampire genre, but I wanted to do a little bit something different. I wanted to have someone that was a person of color be the face of that tale. I haven't seen a whole lot of that. There are some, but I haven't seen a lot of it coming up. And so I wanted to tell a tale from a perspective of a person of color and what those things would mean, and utilizing those themes, but, also, heavily based with the supernatural element around it.
Nice. And how long does it usually take you to finish writing?
Oh gosh. Beautiful Nightmare probably took the longest, but that took me like the entirety of 2018. Like
Okay.
I took some time. It was my first book, and went through editing and, going back and forth. And what I started with the book, I kind of made some changes along the way because the characters began to come alive, and they started telling you they want bigger storylines.
Yes.
It wasn't supposed to be that Damina had a choice between the two men. At first, I thought, oh, we were just going to go with so and so. And then both of the characters start speaking to me in different ways. So it took a little longer to kind of pull all of those things out. But then Awaken and Heart's Eclipse just kind of rolled out of me as I started writing. They just came out, within the year of it. And so those went really fast.
Okay. And do you have any favorite characters? Or one favorite character?
I have a lot of favorite side characters. The main
Okay.
three are Tamina, her fiance Jackson, and Dalcour Marchand. And I will tell you, women swoon over Dalcour Marchand when they read him, the descriptions of him.
I
Um,
love a good book boyfriend now.
oh, he's a book boyfriend. I will put a little pin and say that when the Netflix show Bridgerton came out, I had people write me saying, "Get that guy to play Dalcour," and I said, "Yeah,
Wow.
I can see that." So he's definitely the book boyfriend type, but there's a lot of Team Jackson as well who really enjoy him as well. But my favorite side character is a character named Bray, and her real name is Braylon, but she's bubbly, she's spunky, she kind of keeps everything going. She's the one, she's the conscious of the group. She keeps everybody, keeps everyone sane, and she's not for or against one side or the other. She's just for what's right for Demina. And I think everybody needs that friend who can be, I'm not his side, her side, even though I could lean one way or the other, but she's just supportive of her friend.
Okay, perfect. And did you experience any writer's block?
Yes. When I was finishing Awaken, because Awaken, I was completing that during 2020. So for all that 2020 was, I got just stuck, during 2019, I flushed out, Heart's Eclipse in a matter of like 3 months. Then I wrote 3 short stories to accompany the Beautiful Nightmare universe. And that was like, yes. And then I got into the early part of 2020 and I was finishing Awaken. I was like, yes. And then everything happened here. And I was like, ugh. And it became very difficult to write, actually got very emotional to write. Okay. But I think it actually made me focus the story a lot more. So some of the extras that extra directions I would have went, I didn't go because I was like, look, we just need to, let's tell the tale and get to it. Because I was like, I don't know what else 2020 has in store. So I need to just finish this book without my mind wander too much.
Yes, yes. And tell everyone where they can go to purchase your books.
Sure. They are Beautiful Nightmare, Awaken, and Eclipse are all available wide. So you can purchase them at Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. You can also purchase it on Apple as well, Kobo, so whatever reading pleasures you have. And if you're in the UK, Thalia, you can purchase it from Thalia or IndieMark as well. So it is on Books to Read, and you can get it there.
And Kindle as well?
Kindle as well, of course.
Nice.
And it's available in paperback and ebook.
Okay.
And Beautiful Nightmare is also available on Audible. So there is an audit. And it's cool because I think you get an opportunity to kind of hear the story as well. And I'm really big. And I tell people, even if you don't have Audible, you can always put your Kindle app on and just have her read it to you. And I do that all the time. So I like doing that even with my own books.
Yeah. Did you read your own book?
I did.
Oh, nice.
I did, because I wanted to, once I was done with it, I wanted to kind of step back and then take it from the reader's perspective. And that's, I think, as a writer, that's how you grow, because you get to look at your book and say, okay, maybe we won't do that again, or maybe we'll do more, and you find out what works better and things of that nature.
Okay. And where can we find you on social media?
I am on Instagram, it's author LC Sun, and on Facebook as the same, author LC Sun.
Okay.
And you can also follow me on Goodreads and BookBug.
And how do you think being a writer has helped you as a person?
I think it's helped me grow as far as like thinking about people differently. When you are creating a character, you have to look at all of the sum of their parts. You have to look at the good things that are about them, the bad things that are about them, and accept that, that's the totality of a person, that, in our humanness and even in supernatural characters, there's more to each person than meet an eye. So you might meet one person and you say, hey, they seem real strong, but then you find out it's because of they had to be strong. They had to always fend for themselves. Or you meet a character like in my books where there's the villain, but I think that most villains have backstories, and you'll find, and so my short stories help to kind of deal with some of the backstories of the villains, just so you can see that, they didn't just wake up and come out the womb and decide, I'm gonna, terrorize the world. They just made a choice to terrorize the world because of their experiences.
Right.
So it really helped me as that part of the writing, just kind of help see that everybody has a story, everybody has something going on.
Okay. And is there anything else that you would like to tell us about your books?
I think one of the things I would tell people is go into this beautiful nightmare world with an open mind. It's not quite the same. We introduce different types of supernatural characters, even from the vampires and the wolves. We utilize hierarchy that we don't see a whole lot of in some books. And then also recognizing that people of color have a place in the fantasy world. I think a lot of times when we think of Black fiction, we do think of romance, and then we think of civil issues, but very little do we think of us in the fantasy world. And so I want to be one of those authors to help kind of change that thought process, that we can start to see ourselves in fantasy roles. We can see ourselves as superheroes. We can see ourselves in different ways, not just our trauma, not just our civil issues. And there's romance, but there's, other parts to our romance. It's not always one, genre of that romance. And I don't want the Black story to be monolithic. I want it to be a lot of different stories, and to see different passions and people having different challenges and struggles, and seeing ourselves as these strong beings, because I think we already are as humans, but to see it in a supernatural perspective, is cool. It's kind of cool to imagine, hey, that's actually not bad to see a Black guy who's the vampire who's leading all these people. Really? That's actually pretty dope. Like, and to see
it really is. It really is. And I really hope that you continue with it, because I love it. I love bringing different books to the book club and introducing them. So thank you so much for sharing your story, and thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here today.
No problem. Everyone, that was author Elsie Sun telling us about her books. Make sure you go out and purchase a copy, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos below.